Today in this video on social security, very important update. And this one including people on social security, SSI, SSDI, VA beneficiaries, retirement. We have got all the latest details on social security. Today in this video, we will be discussing some updates on social security and Medicare, as well as what Congress is doing to address those issues which currently both of these programs, social security and Medicare, is facing right now. We'll take a look at the Medicare trust fund and how President Biden may try to shore up the Medicare trust fund, and we will also explore how Sweden successfully saved its social security program and how they did it. It's kind of fascinating. And the thing is, we'll discuss how US could learn from this important social security reform that Sweden has implemented. And finally, we'll take a look at some of the proposals that have been put forward to fix the social security system right here into the United States. However, guys, quickly before we start, make sure to subscribe to our channel. How to, guys? Turn on all the bell notification. Check out other videos from our channel. And without a further ado, let's jump right into all the details. Alright, guys. So, how Sweden saved its social security program. Let's check it out. Now, believe it or not, we are not only the country has a social security program. There are lots of countries where you pay into the social security program. Government invests those funds into the treasury or bonds or T-bills. Well, Sweden also has a similar social security program, and how they have saved the social security program, let me show you all the details. Well, right here into the 1994, the Social Democrats agreed with the four center-right parties to create an entirely new system based on the principle that pension should correspond to what the beneficiary pays into system. Now, a system in which a contribution, not the benefit, is defined. The reforms were designed in a such way to make it impossible to run a deficit and pass the cost to the future generation. Crucially, the agreement was introduced a balancing mechanism nicknamed a break when the economy was doing worse than expected. Pension benefits are automatically reduced when the economy picks up again and break is released. So that's a really clever system. And Sweden introduced this partial privatization of the kind of American left drives as a Republican's plot to gamble our money away onto the stock market. The Swedish government withholds roughly 2.3% of the wages and put it into the individual pension accounts, and workers are allowed to choose up to 5 different funds in which to invest their money according to their own risk preferences, and they can change them at any given time for free. Well, really how Sweden saved their social security is kind of a fascinating because it creates an entirely new system based on the principle that pension should be corresponding to what beneficiary pays into the system, and reforms were designed to make it impossible to run a deficit and pass the cost to the future generation. Now, well, right over here, if you notice, one of the key elements of the reform was balancing mechanism. This balancing mechanism is nicknamed as the break. Now, this break, when the economy is doing worse than expected, then you know what? In that scenario, the pension benefits are automatically reduced, and when the economy picks up again, the break is released. Additionally, Sweden introduced a partial privatization of any kind of American left rights as a Republican plot to gamble away our money to the stock market. Swedish government withholds like 2.3% of the wages and put it into the individual pension account. Now, workers are allowed to choose up to 5 different funds in which they can invest their money according to their risk preferences, and they can also change them at any given time for free. Now, this approach was largely worked, and Sweden retirement system, you know what, it was better off than the United States. So definitely it's the time for the United States to learn from the Swedish social security system. This was supposed to be model for the Scandinavian welfare system. Now, here's the thing, guys. The proposal to fix the social security in the United States, let me talk about it. Now, if Sweden can do it, then why not United States? Definitely US can do it. This is one of the proposition put it forward by Republican Party to help fix the social security system. Additionally, there are some other proposals including raising the retirement age, and as it happened once before during the Reagan administration, also there is another option to raise the social security taxes on wealthy to make them start paying taxes after $160,000 of income. This is happening through that Social Security Expansion Act put forward by Bernie Sanders, alternatively raising the taxes on everybody that pays into Social Security. That may be also an option, but finally there is also an idea that could take a proportion of your Social Security money that you paid and invest that fund into few selected funds, and you wouldn't be able to take it out and spend it immediately as it would be for the retirement, but it could be the way to make more money over the time based on the past history. Also guys, speaking of the next update, well, how Biden is trying to shore up the Medicare. Well, the Medicare Trust Fund, to begin with, let's take a look at the Medicare Trust Fund. As we discussed in the previous video of mine, Medicare Trust Fund is what a large chunk of the Social Security and Medicare, basically the Medicare Trust Fund is what takes the large chunk out of a Social Security and Medicare Trust Fund, because how expensive the healthcare is. President Biden may try to shore up the Medicare Trust Fund by implementing some of the reforms. The White House is set to release President Biden budget proposal of fiscal year 2024 next Thursday, and the president previewed some of the broad points. They are saying that plan will be reducing the deficit by 2 trillion over 10 years. It would be part by raising taxes on wealthy and large corporations. Biden has also said that plan will also extend the solvency of Medicare Trust Fund for at least 2 decades. Some other Biden's plans are likely to come out ahead of the official release. And the tax applies to the individual taxpayers with the modified adjusted gross income more than $200,000 or married couples making more than $250,000 a year. It covers income from interest, dividends, capital gains, rent, royalties, and non-qualified annuities, and certain businesses as well. Dedicating those revenues to the Medicare would generate $500 billion for the program over the next 10 years. That would go a considerable way towards delivering Biden's promise of 20-year extension, and there would be nothing to cut the deficit because it's just shifting the revenue from other programs. Perhaps most important, it would be fundamentally to shift the Part A, Medicare Part A, from another program funded almost entirely with the payroll taxes on wages to those one financed with the taxes on a much broader income base, at least for high income households. So well, that's the kind of a proposal it has been put forward to fix the social security system in the United States. Now whether Biden may try to shore up the Medicare or not, we'll have to check that in the upcoming days. While definitely social security in the United States can learn from the Sweden's successful social security reforms, how they have introduced the mechanisms, those successful mechanism, introduction of break mechanism, how the benefits will be adjusted as whether the economy is performing good or bad, and also the funds are invested in 5 different funds. And clearly this system has worked for Sweden retirement system to better up in the United States. This should definitely be working. If Sweden can do it, then US can definitely do it as well. Well, what do you think about it? Do let me know in the comments down below. Make sure to check out our previous video onto the social security. There are some important changes going on right now, and make sure to hit that like, share this video, subscribe to our channel. And this is Kedar from How to Guys, sign out.